Hey everyone, this is Alex back with this week's STINT Take. There's a lot of buzz forming around this new thing known as the Metaverse. The Metaverse is a virtual world where people can live and interact. It's promised to be a place where people can connect and where everyone can find even more joy and satisfaction in life. But is this true? Today, I want to offer one major warning I see in regards to the Metaverse. Now, before I start, I want to make sure you all know this. I'm not anti-technology. I'm not someone who looks for the devil under every rock, okay? So I'm not just out here trying to find something wrong with everything. But when I look at the Metaverse in our world, I have a major concern. And my concern primarily focuses on the devastating effects this technology will have on everyone, but especially on men. It's no secret that we have a manhood problem in our culture. In the fall semester of 2021 alone, 7 times fewer men signed up for college than the year before. Now, I'm sure COVID affected some of those numbers, but I don't think this trend is going to be turning around anytime soon. On top of that, the average age for a man to get married in the United States is now 35 years old. To give you some perspective, in 1980, only 42 years ago, the average age a man was married was 24 and a half years old. That's an 11-year increase. But yet, less men are going to college and less men are working. In 1970, 80% of men were working or actively looking for a job. But today, that's fallen down to 69%. So you might be wondering where I'm going with this, and here's where I'm going. If men aren't going to college, aren't getting married, and aren't working, then what are they doing? And the answer for millions of men is this. They are wasting their time on this right here. And not only on their phones, but on any video game console or media they can get their hands on. And this shouldn't come as a shock now either, but the highest amount of 18 to 29-year-olds are living with their parents since the Great Depression. That's 52% of 18 to 29-year-olds are living with their parents. Now, why is this important? And does any of this really matter? Well, here's why I think this is important, especially for men. Now, I'm speaking in general terms here, but I think it's safe to say that God has given men 2 major desires. The first one is obvious, to be with a woman. And this is a beautiful thing that God has made, and we see this in Genesis 2. So the Lord God caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. While the man slept, the Lord God took out one of the man's ribs and closed the opening. Then the Lord God made a woman from the rib, and he brought her to the man. At last, the man exclaimed, "This one is bone from my bone and flesh from my flesh. She will be called woman because she was taken from man." This explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the 2 are united into one. And this desire a man has to be with a woman is still there, and it's a good thing that God has created. The second thing God has made every man with is the desire to be a hero, someone who runs towards the fight, not runs away. Someone who is courageous and hardworking. The problem is that many men are now fulfilling those desires in false and sometimes sinful ways through technology. Let's look at pornography for a moment. Before internet pornography, men needed to man up, get a job, and work hard in order to provide for a woman and get married, and then fulfill their God-given sexual desires. But now men don't need to man up because they sinfully objectify women and now have a harem of women on their phones to lust after through pornography. So why don't men feel the need to pursue marriage and actually commit to a woman? Well, technology plays a huge negative role in this. Secondly, the desire for a man to be a hero makes many of us fall into another trap, the trap of video games. Instead of actually doing something with our lives, we sit on a couch and stare at a screen for hours on end. Video games make us feel like we're accomplishing something when in reality, we're not. The scary thing is that technology in many ways negatively affects men, and the Metaverse is going to capitalize on this even more. We live in a society where anxiety and depression are paralyzing people. Suicide is the second leading cause of death in 15 to 29-year-olds. If we've learned anything this last year with the COVID pandemic, isolation is not the solution. Isolation actually contributes to these shocking numbers. God made us to be in fellowship with Him and in fellowship with others. A life in the Metaverse, isolated in our rooms, not physically present with anyone, not accomplishing anything in the real world, is not going to help anyone. I fear this invention will leave us building beautiful lives in the metaverse while our real lives, our real families, our real homes in the real world fall apart. Now, I've said a lot today, so if you have any thoughts on anything I've said or any other thoughts on the metaverse, please feel free to leave those down below, and we'll see you again next time.
If you want to learn more about this topic and many others, or about our cost-free STINT internship, visit toddbecker.org/stint.